Hey guys, welcome to Braddels Gaming and to another episode of the Far Cry 5 Community Creation Series. In this series, I feature other people's maps on the Far Cry 5 arcade. Today, we play a map that's loosely based on Mortal Kombat, with the gameplay from today's featured custom map having similar brutality to the fatalities that have immortalized Mortal Kombat to cult status in the gaming world. This is Mortal Kombat MRG by Mike G Live. Now, I've played a lot of Mike's maps, but I didn't think this would be the one that I'd end up featuring on the channel. Only because Mike has produced a swath of amazing maps that like this one have had a lot of love poured into them, but I'd argue that a lot of Mike's maps have had even more love poured into them than this one. That's not to say today's map is bad by any means, but this map is far smaller by comparison, and so I'm guessing it took Mike probably the shortest amount of build time out of all of his maps, yet it still manages to punch way above its weight. And it's one of two maps for Mike that I remember the most, the other one being probably a bit too political to show in here, and I'm sure those of you that are familiar with Mike's maps would know exactly which map I'm talking about. I digress though. One of Mike's strengths in map making is to make maps that really embrace that arcadey theme, whilst also paying homage to the things outside the Far Cry universe. And this would be my first pro, that you really do see Mike's map making signature still shining through despite the map's small size and basic premise. Mike loves to create custom characters using generic shapes, and to great effect is really able to pull something in the map editor I never thought possible. These characters are littered throughout all of his maps, and they not only show amazing creativity, but honour the map's theme in a way that is sure to grab every player's attention when they jump into each of his maps. And this map is no exception, with a caricature of Mortal Kombat and gaming references around and within the map's arena. Now, I mentioned earlier that this map has a pretty basic premise. Of course, every map is about eliminating the opposition, and this map is mostly focused on melee combat. However, it raises the gameplay experience just a little higher with the addition of one simple object from Far Cry 5's campaign, the tractor. As you see from my playthrough, it quickly becomes the game's main killing machine, which also happens to be synonymous with the theme of Mortal Kombat, to unleash as much carnage into the enemy as possible. Now, I should concede, Mike certainly isn't the only person to put this tractor in the map. I've seen other people do it as well, and funnily enough it doesn't seem to have ever taken off. Maybe that's because there's so many maps out there where a tractor just wouldn't fit in, but I can attest, every map I've played in Far Cry 5's arcade where these tractors are in them is so much fun. If you want more tractor action, then be sure to check out the Community Creations episode for Harvest DM, another map we featured on the series which features the same tractors on it, but in a much more lore-accurate setting in a rural farm. But back to Mortal Kombat MRG. You might have noticed earlier that the tractor was on a raised platform in the middle of the map, which takes the form of the original Xbox console. Another hit of nostalgia, but also from a map design perspective is super clever. When one maniac is driving around in the tractor, it becomes the seemingly only safe place on the map away from the tractor driving maniac. However, whilst it can be a safeguard against the tractor, it also acts as a way to get all the other enemy players to converge into one confined part of the map, creating a vacuum of players to one place on the map, a bit like the final circle of the Battle Royale game. Chaos. However, this is also where my first con for the map comes in, because where Mike has tried to nerf the effect of the tractor by placing this raised platform in the center of the map, the platform itself isn't actually tractor-proof as one might think. As I found during my playthrough, which was much to my own delight and the demise of the enemy players, I was able to mount the platform with a tractor and mow down the enemy players on there, that had been lulled into a false sense of security. Now, I suppose all Mike would need to do is to raise the platform higher, yet that would also make it more difficult for players to get onto the platform. However, I think it's the compromise Mike would need to do nonetheless. As long as players can climb the platform and the tractor can't access this area, the map would be much better balanced to benefit both the tractor person and the other players simultaneously. This means the tractor doesn't become too OP, but it gives the tractor person the ability to pick up kills when players spawn in, and the players that spawn in then have to frantically move towards the raised platform and quickly climb it, where they'll be safe, in quotation marks, with the other enemy players. But otherwise, this wraps up another episode of the Far Cry 5 Community Creation series. If you love all-out carnage, whether that's in Mortal Kombat or in Far Cry, then be sure to check out this crazy carnage-filled map. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to like the video, send me a comment below, and subscribe and hit the bell icon if you love Far Cry. We'd love for you to be a part of this amazing community, so join in for the journey. I'm Braddels Gaming, I'm signing out now, and as always, have yourselves a great day.